Welcome, everyone, to Essex County Library's new podcast, No Shelf Control. My name's Brittanie.
And my name's Laura.
And together we are going to be introducing this kind of a new adventure for us. I think this is our first podcast we've ever done. Would you say that, Laura?
Well, together, yes, but I have a friend who's doing podcasts, and I, unfortunately, am a guest on there all the time.
Oh, there you go. So a little bit more of a veteran than I am. And this podcast is really just going to be talking about the library services that we have to offer you, but also it's to shine a little bit of a spotlight on Essex County and Windsor, but mainly Essex County, and talk about some of the great things that this little corner of Canada has to offer.
And there's lots of good things. People think Essex County and they just think not much because it's your own backyard, but hopefully we'll kind of like surprise you with a few different things of what's going on, because people sometimes feel like that about the library too, don't you think, Brittanie? They don't realize how much we have to offer. We're not just books.
Absolutely. I also think that for maybe those library patrons that we see all the time who are always looking for new recommendations or the books they should be reading, the TV shows they should be watching, this podcast is definitely going to help with that as well.
Totally. I totally agree with that.
Let's do a little bit of an introduction, Laura. Why don't you go first?
Okay, that sounds good. So my name's Laura, and I work at the Leamington branch, and that's where we're recording this out of, the Leamington Library, the spiffy, brand new, remodeled library branch. I have worked here for an undisclosed number of years. Let's say it is 10 years longer than Brittanie has been here, and that is why we're going to remain undisclosed. I have strong ties to this community. Anybody who knows me knows who I am, but I'm not going to talk about that. I am a mom. I have 2 kids. I have a crazy dog and a very attitude cat. And I have lived here pretty much my whole life. My husband works here, and I love working at my library. I love my story times and all of the people that come in. It's just, it's a good place to be. And I'm so happy that my friend Brittanie is here with me now.
Thanks, Laura. Well, my name is Miss Brittanie. I've been working in the library. This is going to ruin Laura's secret disclosure, but for 7 years now.
No.
Yeah, I just ruined it for you, Laura. I got this job actually right out of university, and I always wanted as a kid to be a librarian, and I just didn't think that possibility would ever actually happen. So I am quite thrilled, even after 7 years, to still be doing this job. I love it. I love being with the patrons. I love being able to talk about books and pop culture and all that kind of stuff. I live in Kingsville with my partner and my dog. His name is Padfoot, which Harry Potter fans will know where that's from, and along with my sister and her new puppy Aragon. So I'm super excited to be here and to be here with you, Miss Laura.
Aw, see, there's already love going on with this podcast. This is like the happy time podcast. It's like you're gonna have a little hug, a virtual hug from your library people, because you're not gonna get a real hug. Okay?
Absolutely not. I think this idea really came from Laura, if I may say, that this is 2021 now, so we're more than a year into a pandemic, and we really wanted to bring some joy and positivity into Essex County and reconnect with our patrons that, honestly, we haven't seen in over a year at this point.
I know, and I'm sure they miss talking to us.
I'm sure they do.
I think so. I miss talking to them.
Yes.
I do. So now they can just hear us talk to each other.
Absolutely. And when this gets posted, feel free to post comments and send us suggestions and all that kind of stuff. We would love to be able to engage with you guys more as we do this.
Totally.
All right, so this podcast is going to have a couple of sections to it, and our first one is always going to be more of a personal, we called it a let's talk about us situation, and it's more so you guys can get to know us, and we can talk about the stuff that's going on in our life right now. Do you want to start with this, Laura?
Well, I can. It's not going to be very exciting. So as we all know, we're in the midst of the pandemic. So really, Miss Laura doesn't go anywhere. I come to work and I go home. Actually, we go out for walks and things like that, but I don't go to the stores or anything like that. I do a lot of curbside pickup and stuff like that. My kids are doing virtual school. They do virtual school through the Greater Essex County District School Board, and it's been a really positive experience for us. They've really enjoyed it, and they're doing really well. I know that's not the experience for everybody, but that's been the experience for us. We're enjoying our time together. I think I said that to my husband yesterday. I said, I'm shocked at how well we're doing, that you and I haven't killed each other yet, Tim. And he's like, yeah, actually, I would agree with that. So I don't know. It's pretty good. We're together all the time, and we go on walks, and we've got our dog. And like I say, have I done anything exciting lately, Brittany? We barbecued on the weekend, and we went for a walk, and that is pretty much the excitement of my weekend.
Laura, I barbecued this weekend too. And when I say I, guys, it was not I who barbecued. It was my partner Patrick who barbecued. But still, I got hamburgers and sausages out of the deal, so it totally counts.
Totally counts. Totally.
It absolutely does. I'm kind of like you, Miss Laura. I really take advantage of the curbside situation. Even on Sunday, yes, I went to the Butcher of Kingsville to pick up the meat, and they were like, well, we offer curbside. And I was like, oh my God, yes. I'm loving curbside, can I say. It fills the introvert in me with such joy.
I concur. That's how I feel as well. It'll be hard for me to get away from it.
Yeah, I hadn't even got out of I'm very lazy on Sundays. It's the day of rest, so I had not left my pajamas all day, and I thought, well, I'm not walking into the store, so there's no one to see me that I'm staying in my pajamas. So I was parked curbside in my pajamas waiting for my delivery. It was lovely.
That would be lovely. I got forced out of my pajamas early because Tim made me go for a walk.
Gross.
Which was enjoyable because it was a beautiful day yesterday. The last day of February, and it was gorgeous outside. But yeah, no.
I'm very excited for the end of winter. Can I say that? I'm super excited for even just some mildly decent sunny weather would be great.
Yes, I'm looking forward. I'm on Lake Thaw Watch 2021. So you can get your updates from me, Brittany, as to the status of the thaw on the lake.
For those who don't know Laura well, she is what we call the weather girl of Leamington Branch, and she will always give you the status on how the lake is doing in its thawing process. So in case you are desperate for those kind of updates, feel free to keep listening to these episodes because I'm sure we're going to hear about it.
Just wait till summer because that's when I do my corn report.
Oh, God.
The height of the corn makes a big deal to me. So, yeah.
That's good to know.
I know.
All right, so a next section we're going to do is we're going to be giving you guys some recommendations on what you can be reading, on what you can be watching, and all of this will be available to you through the Essex County Library. Also, anything we talk about, whether it's a movie, a TV show, or a book series, in the show notes of this episode, you will get a list with if it's a book, in the order you should be reading them in, with the authors, and I will try to be as detailed as possible for you guys, because I know we'll get questions of, what book did you mention again, or what order do I read that again, and I want to have all that information available for you.
She's the very organized one of the two of us.
I do love organization. I won't lie. I got many planners. It drives Patrick crazy.
That's okay. I'm just chaos in a sweater. Okay, so let's hit it. So recommendations from books that are TV or film. And I think these are always really good ones.
Very important. It's always good to mention them because once they come out into the world and they start getting popular and more mainstream, that's when the holds list starts to grow rather rapidly. And then I hate that when that happens to people. When they hear about something, they put it on hold, and I'm like, yeah, you're number 200 and something, so that'll be like a year.
Yeah, like when The Help came out, the movie The Help, and then that list was long for like 2 years.
Yeah, and some things the list is just constantly there. Sometimes I feel like I don't understand why, but it's always there.
I think I've got one that is in this list that's probably not going to have a holds list on it.
There you go. But let's talk about, I know Netflix, Disney Plus has made, streaming and watching from home very easy now. So let's talk about some of the stuff that you can watch, and then the books that come from that stuff, so that you can be on the ball about that. Would you like to go first, Laura?
Sure. So right after Christmas, on the day it was released, I crushed the Bridgerton series.
Oh, I love the Bridgerton series.
So it was excellent. I have not read it. It is a book series by Julia Quinn, but my counterpart here is well versed in the books.
So here is the thing. I love romance novels. I want all the romance novels. So I was so excited to hear that Julia Quinn series was getting turned into a Netflix series, and it was amazing. So amazing that it's already been approved for season 2.
I think the Haughty Duke helped that too.
Oh boy, that man is gorgeous. He was an excellent choice for the Duke. And they just cast, for those who maybe have read the series, or maybe to those who have watched Bridgerton and now are just getting into the series, season 2, which is going to cover the Viscount Who Loved Me, they just cast the lead actress for that show, and it's going to be an Indian woman, which is super exciting because I love the diversity that we're seeing in this cast.
That is what I think I love that even more than the story. Like, it's just, the casting is fantastic and it's so diverse, and the whole series, so you're in the middle of winter and everything is blah blah blah, but the color in this show, everything is beautiful colors, and then there is just this beautiful array of diverse people that are the characters, and it's just I just loved it.
Oh, it's fantastic. I think I've watched it twice since it came out on Christmas, because when I'm feeling like glum and I'm like, COVID blues plus winter blues, those can be quite the heavy blues. Bridgerton is my sit down and watch that and you'll feel better.
And I'm that much older than her, so I watched Downton Abbey.
I love Downton Abbey.
Oh, well, then I don't feel so old.
What are you talking about? Downton Abbey is a classic.
It is. It's very good.
It's fantastic. This show just has maybe a little bit more kissing in it.
Yeah, it does.
It's got more kissing in it.
It's not sad.
No,
it's sad.
Yeah, there's no sad about it. It's happily ever after, folks. That's what romance novels always promise you, and Bridgerton lives up to that promise.
Yeah, I would agree. What's the next one, Brittany, that you're very excited about?
Okay, so fantasy lovers, I hope you're listening, because Shadow and Bone is coming out to Netflix in April. Shadow and Bone is by Leah Bardugo, and they're a fantasy series. They're YA. I hesitate to tell you all it's YA, because I think some people, when they hear YA, they go, oh, I don't read that. YA should be read by everyone. It certainly should be read more by adults. So please, if you love fantasy, please check out the Shadow and Bone series. It's novel 9, I think, in the series is going to be released at the end of March. So that is very exciting on top of it. But the TV show is starting in April. And I am so pumped for this. I've already started my reread to get ready for it. And I recommended the series to Miss Laura. What'd you think of it, Laura?
I loved it so much. So I've read the first 3. Which Brittany told me the order to read it in, so you can count on the show notes to be done correctly, because she likes to make sure that you do stuff properly. So I read the first 3 books, and that's like one section of the story. So now I'm starting the 4th one, because I was on a holds list, obviously, because this show is coming out. I loved it, but I also am a fantasy reader, and I like YAs as well. I really like YAs. I just loved it. Loved it. And then Brittany sent me the trailer, like the little teaser trailer, and I was super stoked. I'm like, okay, I gotta finish reading these so that I can watch this.
Absolutely.
It looks so good.
So the author is very heavily involved in the TV series.
Then it's for sure going to be good.
Absolutely. We book lovers, it thrills us when we hear that the authors are involved, because that leads to less chance of you picking up your closest book and chucking it at the TV screen when they do something that they shouldn't have done. So I have high hopes for this series. The list will be in the show notes, guys, but you should get your holds on ASAP if this interests you, because the holds list is growing as more stuff gets released by it, more people go and put holds on it. And I hate to see you all waiting so long for it because it's awesome. It's like fantasy, but it has like a very Russian feel to it. Wouldn't you say, Laura? Like the author is her heritage is Russian, and she brings that into the storytelling. So it feels very different from, I think, the traditional like Lord of the Rings, which I love, but is based very much on the medieval England periods, and that's, I think, similar for a lot of big fantasies. It seems to have like a medieval England feel to it. This one, I mean, it's Russian, and it's so well done. It's a totally new taste, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome.
Yeah, it's really well done. Big time thumbs up for me on that one.
Let's keep on the sci-fi and fantasy for a minute, because I know Miss Laura is excited for a movie that is coming out closer to the end of the year.
I am. It's ridiculous.
It is a sci-fi classic, Dune. Which I think if you asked Laura what one of her favorite movies are, I think the 80s version of this movie is pretty high on the list.
Yes, it is, sadly so. So by David Lynch, the movie adaptation is in my top favorite movies. Judge me if you like, but I really like it, and I love this book. But again, it's sci-fi fantasy.
And it's a thick book.
It is, and it's a series, and it's not for the faint of heart, because it is like, it's very sci-fi. Like, it's not this is no Harry Potter.
Yeah, it's no easing you into the water.
No.
You're dropped into the deep end. So it's I think it's a more difficult book for people who are maybe stepping into sci-fi. Mm-hmm. But I think people who know sci-fi, who love sci-fi, who are super comfortable with sci-fi, I don't think Dune is going to be a stretch for them.
No, and it's a classic too. It's one of the classics, right? And so there is a movie coming out, which I'm very excited to see, because it's supposed to be closer to the novel than the 80s version. And Zendaya's in it. I love Zendaya. She can do no wrong. She is such a fantastic actress. Timothée Chalamet is in it. The Poe Dameron from Star Wars. I can't remember.
Oscar Isaac.
Thank you, is in it. Yeah, it's just like, oh. And Jason Momoa's in it. Need I say any more? Jason Momoa's in it.
I'm super excited for it. I don't know how we're getting it yet, because you, as maybe listeners have discovered, we are, stay-at-home recluses right now. So it's coming out in the States on their new HBO Max platform. I don't know I imagine maybe much like when Wonder Woman 1984 came out, like Amazon will get it so you can rent it from them for us, but somehow we're going to get it and we're going to watch it, and I promise you when it comes out we're going to talk about it.
Big time. I'm very excited, but that's not till fall, right, Brittany?
Yes, correct.
Ah, darn.
But
okay.
But get your name on the book now.
Yes.
Because if you read the blurb and you're like, that sounds interesting, now is better than even the summertime, because once the trailers start coming out, once the posters start coming out, I promise you guys, that's when the holds lists start to skyrocket, and you're going to want to get your name on before then.
Yes, big time. You always want to do that. Get a little ahead of the game. So another show, we're gonna like veer away from sci-fi. I promise you that's not all we're gonna talk about. On Netflix, Virgin River.
Oh, everyone tells me about Virgin River.
So I think I only watched one episode of it, but Miss Kathy that works here loved it. And that is a Robyn Carr series. And Brittany wrote us a list here, and there's 21 books in that series.
Absolutely. I think there's only 2 seasons on Netflix right now. So if you're in need of a Virgin River fix, the books are a great way to go. We have them, so feel free to come to put a hold on to them. Our curbside services are always open, and we do mailing, so you don't even have to leave your house. I must admit, Laura, I am too not a Virgin River fan, but that doesn't mean that it's bad, guys. It just means it's not my cup of tea. But I do know lots of people who love Virgin River. So it's like a woman who's in like a small town, like disconnected from the big city. The internet connection probably sucks, like all that kind of stuff. And she is set up there to be, I believe it's a a specialized nurse of some sort. I forget her profession.
I think so.
And she is at this town, and of course there is romance in the air, and of course living without proper cell service, which is difficult for me. So the nature shots are gorgeous, though. I can say that. Like, it's beautiful. I don't know where it's shot, but it's a beautiful place.
Maybe I'll go back to it. I don't know. We'll see. I did watch, and I know Brittany didn't watch this, is Sweet Magnolias, and that was on Netflix as well.
I heard about that, but I've not had time to watch it. What's that about, Laura?
It is about, so I also read the books too. So this was at the beginning of COVID, so I really got deep into this, and there's a number of books in this series as well. So it revolves around this group of women called the Sweet Magnolias. So there was 3 women, and they were friends in high school, and they called themselves the Sweet Magnolias. This is obviously set in the South. And each book revolves around one of those characters. So you get through the first 3, and then there's the other Sweet Magnolias that they add to their group. It's one of their daughters and then a friend, and I like them. They're a nice story. There's always romance involved. The first one is a mom who has given up everything, her career, to have, I believe she has 3 kids. And then she ends up falling for the baseball coach, her son's baseball coach in high school. So it's very taboo, and the town is like, who do you think you are? And her ex-husband, who is now with his medical secretary who is pregnant, feels the need to tell her as well that she's doing wrong. I liked it. It's kind of like Hallmarky, but maybe not as I don't know. I don't know what the word is for that one. But it's not as like simple as a Hallmark one, but it's not that feel. And like I say, each one has a different character, and I do like the characters, and each one kind of deals with something. There's an eating disorder and like abuse and stuff. It was good. I liked it. They're not heavy reads. They're quick reads, and it's a nice watch.
You know, sometimes the light and quick stuff is exactly what you need, especially during COVID. I tried to start a series the other day, and I put it down after 2 episodes because it was so dark. It wasn't even that dark. It wasn't like it was something terrible. It was just I couldn't deal with anything too heavy right now because I'm just not there. I'm dealing with enough dark and heavy in the everyday news right now.
I would agree. So you know what my other go-to is when I'm feeling like blue, and I was thinking this yesterday, is Outlander, which is another huge recommend from me.
Love Outlander.
I love it. The first book is my favorite. I had a hard time getting through all of the books. I haven't read all of them. But we also have the DVDs here. So you can also place those on hold.
We have any season that is currently out right now. We have the DVD for it currently. So if you're someone who's interested, Outlander is, of course, for those who maybe don't know, is about a woman, and she was a World War nurse, and she is on a honeymoon, or like a second honeymoon kind of, with her husband, and she falls through some stones and gets sent back to Scotland, and specifically during the Jacobite Rebellion she gets sent back into, and she's trying to get home, but of course she starts falling in love with a gorgeous Scotsman, which goals, in my opinion.
And buckle up, this ain't no Hallmark movie, okay?
Yeah, we're gonna give it is for a show that I think is very much focused around the relationship between Claire and Jamie. It has some very heavy topics in it. There is, and these are not going to be huge spoilers, but it does deal with, of course, accusations of like witchcraft and that sort of thing. So it brings up like witch burnings and witch trials and all that sort of thing. And then at the very end, you know, you're gonna deal with, and not even at the end, almost through the whole series, you do deal with situations of sexual assault. So if that is something that is triggering for you and you don't think you can watch that right now, please do be advised that is in Outlander. Okay, so just be wary, friends. Take care of yourself.
Yes, and you're not watching this with your kids in the room, okay?
Oh,
it's
yes.
a little hot and heavy romance.
Oh,
there.
boy.
Yeah. I watched it one day, and Tim, my husband, came out, "What are you watching? I can hear it in the other room." So You're not watching it with your kids there.
Yeah. I would put it on Bridgerton level.
Yeah.
And like, so,
Oh, yeah.
and maybe even more. Sometimes I thought those scenes, like they really, and I'm not complaining. There's no complaining here. I'm just letting you know. Yeah. Don't watch it with your kids in the room. You know, maybe watch it, when you're have the house to yourself or something like that.
That's our little PSA.
Yeah, that's our public service announcement for everyone. So no one gets shocked or has to have awkward questions before they're ready.
Or thinks ill of us because we like that show.
Yeah. No thinking ill of us.
So you know what other one was turned into a movie that was put out during COVID times, I guess, Brittany, is Artemis Fowl. Yeah, so we're just going to say it because it's an excellent book series to read.
Absolutely. And I feel like this is a good time to mention, Laura, that we will always be straight with you on what we think about things. We will, and that doesn't mean that we will ever be mean or anything like that. And that certainly does not mean that if we don't like something, that means it's trash or that you shouldn't like it. Everyone has their own taste. But we will not tell you we liked something when we didn't. We, as librarians, we always believe in giving, honest recommendations and letting our patrons, make their own decisions. So, Artemis Fowl, a great book series, not a great adaptation.
No, a disappointing adaptation for me. But the series... The book series is excellent. I would recommend that for young readers at any point in time. It's excellent with a boy as the main character, and you're not always getting that. Excellent. I was really bummed out because I was hoping the movie would be better because I was hoping it would like jar my kids into wanting to read it, but it didn't.
And that was, I believe, the first movie that Disney ever released that was supposed to be in theaters, and then due to COVID, they released it straight to their streaming service instead.
Yeah, they're probably happy they did that.
Yeah, I'm thinking so too. We're a big fan of the streaming services, aren't we, Laura?
Oh, yes.
Disney Plus, we're rocking that.
Oh, big time.
Netflix.
We watch a lot of the same stuff too, so we know all the same things that each other likes.
Yeah, we can give each other solid recommendations
every time, and we watch a lot of stuff, and we read a lot of stuff. So if you want to know something, just hit us up, and we'll give you a thumbs up or a maybe thumbs sideways. Yeah. I don't like to do a thumbs down too much, because honestly, if I don't like a book, Brittany, I don't read the whole thing.
Neither do I.
I figure there are way too many books in life to read something that you don't like. So if you don't like, you just tap out and say, okay, I gave it a try. I'm going to try something else because this one is just not for me.
And I'm a person who actually, that I realized this the other day. I can pick up a book, start reading it, and realize that this book is just not what I want to read right now. And I will put it down and I'll pick it up again like in a year, in 2 years. And I won't say anything bad about that book until I think, given it its proper chance. I've done that with a lot of books, actually. I'm very good at recognizing that, this book is not bad. It's just that it's not the book that I want to read right now.
I have a really bad... so I don't read like a regular person. I read the first quarter to third.
Oh, God. You're going to admit to this on a podcast?
I am.
Hold on to your hats, readers. She's about to say something.
I read the first quarter to third. Then I go to the end and I read the last quarter to make sure I like how it's going to end because I know how it begins. And then I'll go back and then I'll read from where I stopped and read to the end. If there is an animal in it, I will skim those pages to make sure that I see that name come back towards the end. Because if that animal is going to meet its maker, I'm not finishing that book because there's going to be a whole lot of bawling. So I'm doing these things because I don't want to cry and I don't really like surprises. So I get flack for this all the time.
I give her flack for this all the time.
Constantly. But that's just, I am a quirky person and that's just how I roll.
I would like to say I'll stand in unity with Laura when I say animals dying in books is a big, or really TV, movies, really animals dying is a big no-no for me. So
I'm not a fan of kids dying either. Please know that.
I mean, yeah, but if I have to pick one, I pick the animal over the kid. That makes me a really bad person. I realize that, but that is what I pick. You can't kill animals in front of me. That's not going to work. I'm never going to pick up that book again.
They generally don't kill kids too often.
That's true.
But they tend to kill animals a lot.
I know. They seem to think like it's a way to pull on your heartstrings. All it is a way to guarantee that I will never finish reading that book, and I probably won't pick up the rest of your catalog ever again. So
no, I don't.
Bold choice.
No, Marley and Me. Never. I have never read it. Never will read it. Never will watch it. Anything. No. Sorry. I know a lot of people love it. I just can't do it. That's torture.
And you know what? I think I recognize, I know I recognize the value of dogs. You know what I mean? Like when people, I think, really recommend this book and they're like, you'll think Marley's part of the family. And I'm like, listen, I'm a proud mom to a dog. I don't have kids. I just have dogs, and I'm 100% okay with that. So you don't have to teach me the value of anything. I already know the value of the canine.
This is very true.
Don't need Marley and Me for that.
No, I don't. And A Dog's Purpose, which I think is a book too, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, that's never happening either. I bawled in the theater at the preview of it, and I turned to my family and said, I am never watching that movie.
What was the one where he's like, the guy from Star Wars, the original Han Solo, is played by...
Oh, no.
Yeah, what's that one?
Call of the Wild.
That one.
I'm not watching that.
I got teary-eyed in the theater watching the trailer, and my partner looked over at me and was like, so we're not seeing that one. I'm like, nope.
I can say, though, my son, who is 12 turning 13, gives that a big thumbs up.
Oh, I'm sure it's great.
The dog doesn't die.
Oh, that's great.
Yes.
I might actually go back and watch it now.
He doesn't. And Max also read the book, which is by Jack London, and that's a classic as well. And he liked that too, but he said it was good. And I said, I'm not watching that. Sorry.
No.
Not doing it.
When things happen to dogs, you know, like when they fall in water or something like equally terrible that you think death is near, no, that's when I peace out. I can't handle that.
No, I'm not going to be a puddle.
No, that's not why I sit down to watch movies or read books or anything like that.
No, give me some weird stuff on another planet of Arrakis, where they're mining spice and do all kinds of weird stuff. I'll take that any day.
Yeah. And even in Harry Potter, I feel like I should give a spoiler alert, but these books have been out for so long. Just cover your ears. But of course, in the last book, when Hedwig dies, that's easily for me top 3 of the deaths of the entire Harry Potter series.
I
bawled
cried in
my eyes out.
Whole book. You start with Dobby, and it all goes downhill from there. That's not good. Let's talk about something happy now, Brittany.
Oh, yes. Let's go past the segment on how anti-animal death we are. Who knew that was going to turn into a whole segment? But it's not going to be a weekly thing, people. Don't worry. Let's talk about our cookbook challenge.
Yay, food. Let's talk about food. Everybody wants to talk about that.
So this podcast is going to be bi-weekly, which means you'll get 2 episodes a month. One of those episodes, we will be giving you recommendations, and in the next episode, we will be doing a cookbook challenge with you. We'll also always be covering a hot topic, which will usually be a nonfiction thing. This is just kind of like a sneak peek episode for you, so we're not doing a hot topic this time, but we are going to talk about our cookbook challenge.
Yes, which is very fun, and I think our respective families enjoy this.
It's certainly been an adventure for my family.
So I'm an experienced cook. I did go to cooking school for a year. My brother is a Red Seal chef, and my mom owned a kitchen supply store. So I'm not a newbie when it comes to cooking.
Well, thank God, because I, of course, am the very definition of a newbie when it comes to cooking. Such a newbie, friends. I recently just bought a cheese grater. Before I bought pre-shredded cheese my entire life, and now I just bought a cheese shredder just for this occasion.
Yes.
So
you're going to get 2 different opinions on the cookbook. So someone who is a more seasoned, that's a pun, I know, a more seasoned cook, and someone who is a newbie in the kitchen. So I think that gives you a good idea as to how these work out. Because sometimes you look at a Martha Stewart, and I'm not throwing shade at Martha, but some of those things are very difficult.
Sometimes I open a cookbook. I have recently started to try to expand my cooking skills. So I love cookbooks because some of them are just so gorgeous, Laura. Like the pictures, the way they're displayed, I love it. But you flip those open, you start reading those recipes, and it puts like the fear of God inside me to look at all the steps and everything you got to do and all the accessories you got to have and all that kind of stuff.
A 2-page recipe? I don't even want to see a 2-page. Don't show me a 2-page recipe. No, because I'm not reading that.
No.
Well, I'm reading it as I go. And as we're going to find out in this, when we break down this recipe, that doesn't always come in handy.
Doesn't always work. So we're going to pick our cookbooks. We found a list on the Indigo website. We're big shoppers of the Indigo bookstore, but we also love supporting our local bookstores, but sometimes Indigo is just so easy.
And they're a good reference point for stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Right. And especially as librarians, of course,
Mm-hmm.
their catalog is something great that when people are telling us about books and all that kind of stuff, we can go on this website and get us loads of information for us. So it's great in that way. And they have a list on there called the Top 50 Cookbooks of Canada. So we decided we would take some cookbooks off of that list and start making some recipes out of it.
Yeah, so our first one is Cravings, Hungry for More by Chrissy Teigen. So that's Chrissy's second cookbook. Her first one is just called Cravings. And this one's been really popular even within the library system too. A lot of people had it on hold, and cookbooks circulate a lot because it's always, I like trying something out before I decide I'm going to commit to the book or I'm going to photocopy some recipes out of it.
Because cookbooks can be very expensive, right? Because they tend to be larger, thicker books. They tend to, if you're, in my opinion, a good cookbook, you're going to have pictures in it to show people what you're looking at. So they do tend to be expensive, and they tend to hold their price. They don't go down even as years go on. So it's always for me, if I'm going to buy a cookbook, I really have to like it.
Yeah, and that's why your library is perfect. Try them out.
Absolutely. That's what I always do. I always take the cookbooks out of the library first, and then if I really like it, I go buy them.
So Brittanie, you picked our first recipe.
I did. I love breakfast, Laura. Like breakfast for dinner, when we'd have that's like some of the best. That'll turn the crummiest day into a great day for me. I love breakfast. So please don't be surprised to know that I picked the Everything Bagel Cream Cheese Breakfast Bake.
That's a mouthful.
It is a long title. I think at the end I just shortened it to like the bagel bake or something like that. I took like 4 words out of it because I was like, that's just too long. It's too long, Chrissy. But it's good, but it's just too long.
It is very good. It is very good. So I made it. I had decided I was going to make it for dinner one night, and I came home from work and I started putting it all together. And as I went step through step, I got to step 3 and it said, let's sit for 3 hours or overnight.
Yeah. So,
wah, wah.
Yeah, I had that same issue. We decided to do it for brunch. And so at like 11 o'clock, I start putting it together. And then by the time that was done, I was almost noon, and I read at the bottom, I believe it is, just to correct you, Miss Laura, 1.5 hours to 12 hours to leave it in your fridge. And I went, well, who's got time for that? I'm starving. I feel like cookbooks or recipes specifically that have a whole like wait before you cook it or bake it or whatever you're going to do to it should have like a big like bold warning label like at the top of the page. You know what I mean?
I would agree. Like in a red box.
Yeah.
Warning, warning, needs to sit. Warning, warning. Yes.
Prepare ahead of time. Like something like that, because even the librarians whose job is to read, we did not read through the entire recipe until we were actually making it.
Well, I read the beginning and then I read the end.
Yeah.
I didn't read the middle part.
You didn't read the middle part. So I only let mine sit for 45 minutes before I became impatient. How long did you let yours sit for, Laura?
I think mine was about a half an hour because I wanted to eat before 8 o'clock that night.
Always a goal in my book as well.
Yeah, it needed the sitting. It needed
Oh
the
yeah,
sitting.
and that's the thing, right? Like there's some recipes that I think you can get away with not sitting. I make like crepes, and I'll find a lot of crepe recipes that always say like make the batter and then leave it in the fridge overnight or something. And I've done it both ways, in which I don't leave it overnight, and I don't find a big enough difference for the effort to be worth it. But this recipe, you have to leave it to soak for it to be anything decent.
So it is very much like a bread pudding. So you're putting in your dried bread, and then you're putting in your egg and cream mixture. So in order for that to soak in properly and your bread to be the right texture, you do need all that time. And when you let your crepe batter sit, it's like to develop proteins and stuff in there. Just FYI.
Oh, well.
I know you didn't really care.
There's no protein for me out of crepes, I guess.
That's all right. So yeah, it needed that just for that bagel to be softer, because mine was still had a lot of texture to it. I think that's the kind of way I want to say it.
And I did a half recipe when I made mine. So the recipe makes for 8. And there was only 2 people in my house eating it, so that was never going to happen. So we halved it, so theoretically making it for 4. And good Lord, was it a big meal.
I also halved it for the 4 of us, and it was still way too much. It was huge.
Yeah. It's really good. I liked it. So it's with everything bagels. You're supposed to leave them out for 3 days or something, so they get like that stale bit to it. And then you put them in. You put in your cheese. There's 4 different types of cheeses in this recipe. I love cheese, so there was no complaining here. There's tomatoes. There's spinach in it, I think.
Mm-hmm. There's sausage, breakfast sausage.
Yeah, I did the vegetarian version. My sister's not a big meat eater, so I did a vegetarian version. I literally just took the sausage out. That's all I did. That's the only difference. And the recipe does make a mention that to make a vegetarian version, you just take the sausage out.
I put the sausage in. I forgot there was tomatoes, so I didn't have the tomatoes in there. I did the sausages. I was extremely lazy when I made this. I should have cut the sausages up. I did not, so it was kind of ridiculous, but we made do. It still tasted good, but it was super, super lazy. You need to put a little bit of effort into this one, and I found out once I read the middle part of the recipe that it did involve some effort, and I just maybe didn't put as much effort as I should have into it.
Yeah, it definitely felt more like, like a weekend recipe, when you haven't worked all day and you're now coming home and you got to put together a big meal. This felt like I made it on a Sunday when I wasn't working, and I felt a lot better about it that way, because it took a lot. It's not hard. Like, as I said, newbie cook here, and it was not difficult to make. It's a lot of ingredients, and it's time consuming to make.
I'd say this is a good one. You make it Saturday night, leave it in the fridge overnight, and Sunday morning you pop it in the oven, and then you've got your Sunday morning breakfast.
Absolutely.
That's what kind of recipe
if you were a planned person, I think that's what you should do.
Well, we know that's never happening me.
It's not going to happen for me either, because I'm organized in a lot of things in my life, but I suck at cooking, and thus cooking is always on the fly for me.
But we recommend it. Like, it was good.
Absolutely. It was good. It's very eggy, and the bread is a great texture. I halved it. I would put more bagel in it. I think it calls for 3 bagels, and I put 1.5. I would put more bagel in it because I wanted like more bread in it, but otherwise, like, I put Kumat tomatoes in it. I didn't have the big red ones they had. I only had the Kumats, so I put those in it, and they were great. The cheese was great. Like, the chunks of cream cheese in it were like, I think, like chef kiss, like my favorite part. Like, I loved it.
I loved that part too. So I have made other stuff out of that recipe, out of that recipe book, and I have since purchased that book. And she has a recipe for cream cheese blueberry pancakes that have little cream cheese bombs in them like that too. I'm like, I am totally trying that.
I have since then made more stuff out of it as well. I think, Laura, you made this as well, but I made her tomato soup out of it. When I say people, I should say that I am more of a sous chef, and I assist with my sister. I don't get full credit for any sort of cooking, just as an FYI. But the tomato soup we did do.
Did you guys like it?
We loved it.
Us too. It is my go-to soup. It's super easy, and my family loves it. It's so good. I've made it I don't know how many times this winter.
My mom is like the best cook I've ever met in my life. She makes everything like from scratch. I've been so blessed that my entire childhood she has cooked us these amazing meals. And she makes a tomato soup as well with red peppers in it. That's the only thing that probably tops this soup for me. But her soup is very time consuming to make. This soup was so easy and it's so good. Like it shocks me how easy it is when you think of how good it is.
Yeah, I agree. And it's with canned tomatoes. Like it blew. I was like, really? This is with canned tomatoes and it tastes this good. And I made the lazy wonton soup, which I loved. It was so good. So good. And I love wonton soup. So you made the meatballs and then you just cut the wonton wrappers up and made them like a noodle so you didn't have to fold and everything. But it was delicious.
I made her cheese and meatball subs that are out there, that are in that recipe, And I'm very picky when it comes to meat, like specifically red meat. And these meatballs were the best meatballs I've ever had in my life. Like, so good. And it was the meatballs is the hardest thing to make. So if you already know how to make meatballs, this is going to be so easy for you. It was so good. I get hungry just talking about them.
Well, that's going on my list then.
Mm-hmm.
That is, my family will eat that for sure.
The next thing I want to try is she has some sort of like shake and bake chicken, but like her own with something called hot honey, which I don't know. I'm sure it's honey that is thus hot, but we're gonna try that next.
So she has a recipe for waffles that are Parmesan waffles, which I haven't made because everybody turned their nose up. But she has a chili butter maple syrup, so I made that for myself because I like spicy stuff. Oh my gosh, the best. It's just, I buy real maple syrup because I have a very, very picky son who is not having anything to do with table syrup. It is unbelievable what this child is like. And you melt some butter into it and you put some crushed red pepper flakes. Oh my goodness gracious. It is so good. So good.
Oh.
Yeah. If you like, and it doesn't need to be really spicy, but it just has that little bit of, so good. Now I want to eat that.
I know. Now I want to go home and make meatballs. So I think all in all, the cookbook we highly recommend.
For sure. Like 2 thumbs up. Definitely.
Yeah. And I've not seen the first one, but I've been told that it is also very good. Her Chrissy Teigen's Cravings.
It is very good. The Chinese chicken salad, top notch.
Ooh.
Yeah, top notch. It's excellent.
Okay. So we absolutely recommend that one. If you guys try any of the recipes out of Chrissy Teigen's cookbooks, feel free to let us know and tell us what you made and what you thought of it, and maybe if you made any changes to it or anything like that. We'd love to hear from you.
So Brittanie, our first official cookbook challenge, this was just a teaser, which we didn't really tease because we got pretty far into it. What is our next cookbook? Do you remember?
I don't think I do.
It's the Magnolia Cookbook.
Oh, that's
by Joanna
right.
Gaines.
Okay,
she remembered.
Joanne Gaines. That's the woman, right, who runs that home TV show.
Fixer Upper.
That's right.
Yes.
I got family members who are obsessed with that show.
I like that show. I know you're shocked that I like that show.
I watch a lot of home shows, but I don't think I've ever seen an episode of Fixer Upper.
Oh.
Or if I've had, I've only seen it like in bits and pieces, like as I've walked by the television or something.
Well, I already own that cookbook, and I already am going to say I like it. So we just have to pick our recipe, and we'll go from there. And we'll see if we agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes. I'm told it's a very good cookbook, so.
It is. The only problem with it is it doesn't stay open. The binding in it's terrible.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Cookbooks, you got to be able to lay flat.
You can't. I always have to put like my flour jar on top of one side of it.
I never, I can always tell when people return like a well-loved cookbook because we'll always open it and there's going to be like some sort of stain on the pages or something. They were making it and they got tomato sauce on a page and yet the patron wiped it off real good and it's fine. But like, that's how you know it was good. It's because it was literally like in the action as they were cooking.
I agree. I think a pristine cookbook, you're like, oh, I don't think anybody made anything out of this.
I don't think anyone anyone cooked out of this.
They just looked at it because it was beautiful, but they didn't really make anything.
No. Stained pages of a cookbook is really the goal.
I think so. We won't charge you for it unless you drop it in the tomato soup.
Yeah, that would be really bad.
Yeah, don't do that. You shouldn't do that anyway. That cookbook should not be anywhere near the actual pot of that tomato soup.
No.
Like over top of it. No.
No.
Not at all. That's like our tip of the day too.
Yeah.
Don't put your cookbook by your tomato soup.
It's like when I tell all the kids in story time, you know, if you're eating your peanut butter and chili sandwich, you got to wash your hands before you pick up the book again. You don't want to damage that book.
No, don't eat it while you're reading your book either.
No.
That doesn't work out very well.
No. All right, I think that's it for our cookbook challenge, Laura.
I think so. I hope you enjoyed that.
I hope so too, because you know I think we're both enjoying it.
Yes, and like I said, my family's very much enjoying it.
My sister is the Patrick cooks, but my sister is like really the creative, like, oh, let's try a new thing, and she's really liking this as well. So we're at least
Tim's picking the recipe next time, isn't he?
Oh yes, I forgot.
I did too.
So Tim only thought that the everything bagel cream cheese breakfast bake was an okay choice on our part. So he is picking the next recipe, so get ready for that.
That's my husband. He can be very fussy when it comes to food. He still eats it, but he likes to give me all the critiques. Wow. So he told me, who picked this? I said, Brittany picked it. And he's like, okay, well, I'm picking the next one. So I have to get him to give you his choices.
Excellent. Let's do our last segment for this episode. Good. We're calling this About Town, and it's going to be a section in which we talk about where we've been, what we love about Essex County.
Yes, and we love many things about Essex County.
So many things.
Especially because winter's almost over.
Yes.
That's what I love the most.
I feel we should also disclaim that in no way are we getting like sponsored or asked to talk about any of these businesses. They are actually businesses that we use, that we've been to, and that we love. And we're going to go all over Essex County for these. So it's not just going to be, you know, Leamington and Kingsville where me and Laura live and work, but it's going to be all over Essex County.
And we're going to crowdsource our other library people, which are all over our 14 branches, and say, hey, what do you love? What is really good around town in LaSalle, in Tecumseh, in Lakeshore? Because it's kind of lockdown time, so we don't really know all those things. We're tight in our areas right now, so what better way to do it than ask the people who know?
Absolutely.
So Brittany, what do you find? What's been going on around town that you've actually gotten out of your car and out of your jammies for?
Out of my car and out of my jammies. Well, we are filming this. This is the first day of March, actually. It's March 1st for us, which means Valentine's Day was like 2 weeks ago. And I know that seems like a long time, friends, but I'm still thinking about it. That's how good it was. I went and got a smash heart from King's Bake Shop in Kingsville. This is a bakery. They do cupcakes, they do macaroons, they do, oh my God, so many great stuff. And they did these smash hearts that they're like chocolate hearts. So once you smash them open, there's macaroons and cookies inside of it. And we got it as a Valentine's Day present, and it was phenomenal. 5 out of 5 stars.
I was super jealous because she sent me a video of it, and I was like, I should have got one. I'm hoping there's some kind of Easter smash.
Oh my God.
Because I'm totally getting that for me and the kids.
Yes.
Totally. Because that was just, somebody doesn't like macaroons, so they brought them to me.
I did. I'm not a macaroon fan. So I think there was 4 cookies in it and 4 macaroons or something. And my sister had tried a macaroon, so we had 3 left, and I brought them for Laura. So food bribery is something that sometimes we do here at the Leamington branch.
This is true. I accept payment in macaroons and Snickers bars.
Absolutely. I take many payments in the form of food. That's a great way to live, I think.
I think so too. So we didn't do anything exciting for Valentine's. I'm not going to get into my Valentine's story because it's ridiculous and Brittany already knows and it was hilarious. But I didn't get a smash heart. What I am excited about right now is that Point Peely has their park passes on sale. It's like 25% off. So I live in Leamington, as I said before, and I actually live close to Point Pelee. And Point Pelee's been insane lately. They have gotten to the point on the weekends when it's nice where they're not letting traffic in.
Wow.
That's how busy it is around there. And I totally think it's worth it. I love Point Pelee. It's beautiful. It's like going on a little vacation and you're just at the edge of Leamington. And so the family pass right now, I think, is like $68, and that is a really, really good price because I think it's $15 or something for the family to go in each time. So for us to go a few times, my son and I have started running, which I told Brittany this morning. So our goal is to get to the point, and I would love to run in there too because it is so, I just love it in there. It's beautiful. They've done such a good job there. I'm not going on that new observation tower because I am not a fan of heights. But everyone who's been up it says it's really beautiful. I'll just take your word for it.
I have only been to the point once, Laura.
In your life?
In my whole life. And it happened during COVID, so it was most recent.
You didn't even go on a field trip there in school?
No, I don't think so. Not that my memory suggests to me.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, but I really liked it. So for people maybe who haven't gone, maybe you're a heathen like I am and haven't visited Point Pelee, check it out. It's pretty cool. We walked our dogs down to the point, and it was pretty awesome. It's pretty cool how far it goes out. And I'm told it wasn't even out that far. I've just never been there, so I don't know how far out it goes.
Yeah, it's really interesting to see it as the seasons progress, what the currents do to the tip. It can be really, really long, or there can be like no tip at all.
Yeah.
And with the ice flows and everything, it's just gorgeous. It's beautiful any time of year, quite honestly. I love it.
Yeah, so we actually said the last time we went in summer of 2020 during, of course, COVID. And we did say, we're definitely going to come back when the weather gets warm again because we really liked it.
Watch their Facebook page because that's where they actually post the updates of if they're going to let people in, because I've seen it pretty much every weekend right now where they close the parked cars.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy because everybody wants to get out, and I totally understand that. I want to get out too. So everybody's going to different places in their communities, and they're getting outside, which I think is a really, really good thing.
Yeah.
You need the vitamin D.
Yeah, and I need to get out of the house. I am a person who likes walking. I go biking a lot, and winter's a hard time. Winter's hard when it's so cold that I don't want to leave the house.
Yes, I know. I feel the same way. When you get that bit of sunshine, oh my goodness, just like drink it up. So this weekend also in Leamington, I didn't go, but a friend of mine was supposed to go, and she didn't end up having to get a COVID test instead. Cured Brewery, they have fire pits outside as well as chairs, so people could sit outside. If you're not comfortable going into restaurants, which we're now allowed to do for however long it may be, and you could sit outside around the fire and you could enjoy a drink and an app or something like that. And I thought that was really cool. I liked that.
That sounds lovely. My mother-in-law lives up in Owen Sound, and they have some wineries there, and she shows me all these pictures of these big fire pits that their wineries have that they can sit around and get like a nice tray with their sample of wine. And I think, wow, that's really cool. I'd love to do something like that.
I think that's a great idea.
I think that's awesome.
I know tourism has taken a real punch this last year, but a lot of these places that have pivoted and thought outside the box, I commend them like hugely. So like, okay, let's do fire pits.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I hope a lot of those things stay, like even curbside, because as you know, we're kind of antisocial. I like that stuff.
Absolutely. I don't know if you remember, but Spago's over the summer, when it was really hot and we were only allowed to eat outside, they had these like misters when you sat out on the porch that misted you while you were sitting. I love some Italian, so Spago's is always a hit for me. And I thought that was really clever. Like, what a great way to say, hey, you can't come in and it's really hot out, but so we're going to try to cool you this way instead. I thought that was so cool. I love seeing when businesses get creative like that.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah, it's been interesting to watch everything unfold. It's been garbage at the same time, but just to see people's creativity muscle flex has been really cool. But yeah, so maybe we'll do that this weekend if it's nice. We'll go and sit around a fire somewhere. I don't know. I probably won't because I'm pretty antisocial, but I just thought it was still cool at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
You went somewhere this weekend? to pick stuff up. Oh, you went to the butcher. You already said that.
Yes, I went to the butcher.
But what did you get?
I got to tell you guys about this. It's a good thing you asked, Laura. Patrick likes spice. He loves spice. Like, he puts hot sauce on almost everything. He likes spice. So he asked me if I could get some sort of spicy sausage. I said, I'll call and see what they got. They had jalapeno blue cheese sausages.
That sounds so good.
I have never seen Patrick eat sausages so fast. Like, he said that they were really good, and that I just get their burgers there. I love their burgers, which are always fantastic. But Patrick loved the sausages. So I love when you call the butcher and they have like these really cool sausage or hamburger flavors, like where they add different stuff to it. So I loved that, and that's how we did our Sunday night, which was such a nice, refreshing thing, to barbecue and have that, like, those familiar smells that remind you of like nice weather.
Totally. You could start smelling the ground yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds weird, but even Tim said it when we were on our walk. He's like, I feel like you could start smelling the trees again. I would have to agree.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's in our old age that we notice things like that. But I don't know. I'm looking for anything to grab onto and say spring is coming.
Absolutely. Spring, feel free to come on over. We're ready.
And we have to think of different things, because I've read in the news lately, and I know a couple other things have been canceled. So I know Strawberry Fest was canceled and Corn Fest was canceled. And I know Arts at the Marina in Leamington is not going to happen this year. So while I feel like those things are a huge bummer, it's like, okay, let's find something else in the communities to enjoy. So, like, be it the parks or going and sitting out on patios of your restaurant. I think there's still so much in our area that there is to offer and to enjoy. So I'm looking forward to that.
And you can make like little outings. Like, Laura, I know you went, I think this weekend, and I went last weekend to the River Bookshop in Amherstburg.
Yes.
It is run by former Essex County librarian Lori. So we're big fans. It's an indie bookstore, so it's local, it's independent. Please support your independent bookstores, people, when you're able to. They're a great help. And just even to walk among the shelves and just browse a little bit was so, it just felt like such a treat, which I never really truly appreciated before COVID.
I agree. Every little thing I feel like I appreciate a little bit more. Like, even I think when the libraries open up and people come in, I feel like that's going to be like that too. It's just stop and take time to like enjoy it all, right? Like, you just breathe it all in. Like, oh, this is great. We took it for granted for how long, and now it's like, okay, I can go to the store and look at this. I can go and browse the shelves at the library and see all the things that are there. I can go and talk to the library ladies and whatnot. So while we think there's not a lot to do right now, pretty soon the ice cream stores will be open up. Like, people, I am setting a clock for that because I can't wait. And campsites are going to be starting to book mid-March, I believe. So there's lots of cool things to look forward to.
I'm always counting down the day to Dairy Freeze opening. Mm-hmm. I am a big fan of Dairy Freeze, and I'm super excited for them to open up again.
Boston coolers forever.
Oh, their milkshakes too.
Mm-hmm.
Their onion rings. Like, you can't beat it. I'm so excited.
We're so hungry today. That's
it's
why we keep
talking
about food. My granola bar for lunch obviously didn't cut it, Brittany.
Apparently not.
No. So I don't know, is there anything else that's going on around town? As you guys all know, it's been up and down with what's open and what's not open, and we don't want to dwell on all the boo-hoo-ness of it, because there is a big boo-hoo, but there's light at the end of this tunnel.
Absolutely. I can see it.
I totally can.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be good. Oh, and this is kind of what's about town. So March 8th, they're starting vaccination clinics for age 80 and up in Leamington. In actually today, which is March 1st, they're starting in Windsor. So keep your eyes on all of the outlets, the media outlets, social media, newspaper, and whatnot, to find out those things in your area too. And if you don't have access to that stuff, You probably do if you're listening to us, but you can always call us and we can look up stuff for you.
Absolutely. We get patrons all the time who call us to look up important things about the community that they need to know. And we're 100% okay with doing that. So if you're looking for maybe some sort of vaccination update, we will give you whatever we can look up on the internet, on the socials, and relay any information for you. Just give us a call.
We're well versed in the WECU site.
Yeah.
We can help you out with whatever you need. We care about all of you. We miss all of you. We miss seeing your faces and talking to you and giving you recommendations in real life. And hopefully we'll be able to do that soon.
Hopefully soon.
Yep. We still have our masks on, but you'll have to judge and see who has the cutest masks.
Absolutely. We're really upping our mask game.
Big time.
Absolutely.
Well, Brittanie, I think this has been fun. I have enjoyed chatting with you for the last little bit.
I have too, Miss Laura. I hope you guys listening have also enjoyed hearing us chat and telling you about all this stuff. And if you have liked listening to this, please let us know. Send us a comment. There's probably some sort of like feature you have. Feel free to do that.
Subscribe.
Oh my God, subscribe. We're doing this right now on a bit of a trial basis. So please let us know if you like it, because that's the only way we get to keep doing it with you guys.
Exactly. So until next time, Brittanie, when we're going to have a whole bunch more stuff to talk about and a whole bunch more books to recommend, I think that's it for me.
I think we're all good.
Awesome. So we will talk at you soon, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.